Alright, Chapter 4, Regulations Governing Inspection Testing of Steam Locomotives, Section 1, Boilers and their Appurtenances. Responsible. Rule number 1, the mechanical officer in charge of each of the point where the boiler work is done responsible for the inspection and repair of all locomotive boilers with the appurtenancy to be done with his jurisdiction. No locomotive with return to service until the defect of the disclosure of the inspection corrected. Inspection of interior boilers. Time of the inspection. Rule number 2, the inspection of each of the boiler will inspect thoroughly before the boiler is put into service, except when it is new, whenever the sufficient number of flues are removed for the following examination. B. Removal of flues. Rule number 3. All flues, locomotive boilers, and so forth remove with lice once every 4 years through examination of the entire interior of the boiler and its bracing. 2 of the flues will remove after the 48 calendar month service is provided with the service of the performed within 5 consecutive years. Portion of the calendar months of the service will be counted with the time out of the service must be accounted by proper out of service reports. Notation for the month claimed out of service that will be made with the back of each for the subsequent inspection report with a cab car. After the flues have been taken out with all foreign matter will be removed with the inside of the boiler with the boiler cleaned through the inspected. 4. Investigation show of the condition of the warning period. Removal of the flue with the intent with the formal application of the railway Grand Division headquarters of the theater's operation. 2. For the chief of the transportation zone of the interior. Formal application will be submitted approximately 30 days before the work is due in order for the proper investigation may be made before the flues are delinquent. Method of inspection. Rule number 4, the entire interior of the boiler will be examined for cracks, pitting, riveting, indication of overheating with the damage with the mud has collected or the heavy accumulation form matter that has formed edge of the plate and all laps and seam with points for the crack for the other defect likely to develop. That will give it a minute examination. Care will be taken to see with the abrasion of the strays of the top with the pins with the securely properly in play with each of the distant conditions support with the proportion of the load. D. Repairs. Rule number 5, that any boiler will develop the cracks and barrel will take out of the service immediately repaired property with the reported to be satisfactory condition before it is returned to the service. Lap seal and lap joint seams. Rule number 6, every boiler with lap joint longitudinal seams will reinforce with the plates examined carefully to detect the governing over the crack of the edges of the seam. Fuse plugs. Rule number 7, the boilers are equipped with a fusible plug that will be removed and cleaned and scaled at least once every month. Their removal must be noted in the report of the inspection. 16. Inspection of the exterior of the boiler. Time of the inspection. Rule number 8, the exterior of every boiler will be inspected thoroughly before the boiler is put within service except when it is new. Whenever the jacket and lagging are removed, the lagging is to be removed. The rule number 9, the jacket and lagging will be removed at least once every 5 years through the inspection made of the entire exterior of the boiler while under hydrostatic pressure. 17. Testing of the boiler. Time of testing boilers and service. Rule number 10. After 12 months of the service, all boilers except the out of the service CFAT 2 below will be subject to the hydrostatic pressure for the 25% of the above working steam pressure per. So now concern in this test will permit the application of the pressure grade within specified 2 of the boilers out of service. Rule number 11. Boiler will be inspected and prescribed in accordance with Army Regulation 850. 300 when annual inspection is made with a common carrier of the railroad shop of the Army Railroad Repair Shop. Monthly inspection neither required nor desired for the month. The annual inspection is made with the locomotive store with the hydrostatic test must become the need to be given with the test immediately prior to the beginning return to the service of the boilers out of service of the zone. Material will be reported once each month. Interested zone of the master mechanic will forward the information of the chief of transportation boilers out of service of the theater's operation will be reported each month of the railway Grand Division headquarters and in the theater. B. Removal of the dome cap. Rule number 12, the dome cap of the throttle sand pipe will be removed at the time of the making hydrostatic of the interior surface of the connection with the boiler. Examined thoroughly with the conditions permanent and keep the boiler with the enter and inspect thoroughly without removing the throttle stand pipe. Inspector may make inspection only with the dome cap. The variation of the rule will not be noted with the report with the inspection. Alright, C. Repairs and steam test. Rule number 13. When the necessary repairs are complete with the boiler with the fired up at the steam pressure rate without less than the allowed working pressure for the boiler with the prudency with examined carefully. All cocks and value of steams, the bowl with the rivets must be tight with the under of the pressure with all the defects disclosed of the repair. 18. Stay bolt testing. Time of the tested rig bolt. Rule number 14. All stay bolts will be tested at least once each month. The stay bolts all will be tested immediately after each of the hydrostatic tests. Method of testing rigid bolts. Rule number 15. Inspector will tap each of the bolt, determine the broken bolt with the sound of the vibration of the sheet of the stay bolt with the main with the boiler with the field with wire. There must not be less than 50 pounds per the pressure in the boiler. Should the boiler not be under pressure for the test, may be made after draining all the water from the boiler, in which case the vibration of the sheet will indicate any unsoundness. The later test is preferable. Method of testing flexible stay bolts With caps, rule number 16, one except for the provided with the two below, all stay bolts have the caps over the outer end of the have the caps removed at least once every 2 years with the bolt of the sleeve examined for breakage each time the hydrostatic test is applied with a hammer test required with the rules number 14 and 15 will be made while the bowler is under hydrostatic pressure of not less than allowed working pressure. Two certain type of flexible stay bolts provided with a telltale hole of not less than 3/16 of an inch or no more than 7 32 of an inch of the diameter of the hole extend with the entire length of the bolt into the head not more than 1/3 of the diameter is protected with a copper plating with becoming enclosed with a corrosion if the open with each for the time the hydrostatic test is applied. And the test in by means of the proof of the electrical or other instrument that such the action positively will indicate with the telltale hole for the opening with the entire length but it will not be necessary to remove the caps. When the test is complete with the hydrostatic will be applied with all the stay bolts will show the leakage from the telltale hole will be removed. When locomotives are inserted with the inner end of the telltale hole with the cap closed with the fireproof of the imperious material will exceed foreign matter the permanent leakage of the steam of the water into the telltale hole in an event where the bolt become broken and fractured. Removal of the flexible stay cap bolt for the other tests will be reported with WDAGO form 55-239, see Chapter 12 of the proper record keep of the inspection of the test. Firebox sheets will be examined carefully with at least once every month with the mud burning, bulging, indicating broken stay bolts. Stay bolt caps may be removed at any of the above of the test made with the chief of the transportation zone of the interior railway grand division headquarters theater of operation considered desirable in order to determine the condition of the stay bolt and the stay bolt sleeves. D. Method of testing flexible stay bolts without caps. Rule number 17. Flexible stay bolts with do not have caps will be tested on each of the month with the same with the rigid bolt with each step of the hydrostatic test is applied. The stay bolt test will be made with the boiler and under the hydrostatic pressure of the not less than allowed working pressure and proper notation. Such test will be made with the WDAGO form 55-239, see Chapter 12. Broken stay bolts. Rule number 18. No boiler will be allowed to remain in circuit when there are two adjacent stay bolts broken or plugged in any part of the firebox combustion chamber or nor when there are more broken and plugged in circle 4 feet in the diameter no more than 5 or more broken and plugged in the entire boiler. After the telltale hole with rule number 19, all rigid stay bolts must have the telltale hole of a 3/16 of an inch for the set or 7/32 of an inch for the diameter of the length, not less than 1 1/4 an inch for the outer end of the holes will be maintained with a clean condition. Drilling telltale holes, rule number 20, all stay bolts show within an 8 inch except for the flexible bolt with the rigid bolts behind the frames and brace with which do not have the telltale holes will be drilled when the locomotive is shop with the repairs. 19. Steam gauges. Location of the gauge is rule number 21. Every boiler will have at least one steam gauge which will indicate the correct working pressure of the carrier will be taken with the locator of the gauge so that they will keep the reasonably cool and can be read conveniently with the engine man siphon. Rule number 22. Every gauge will have a siphon made with a copper tube of the ample the capacity to prevent steaming from entering the gauge for this pipe connection. Will enter the boiler directly with a maintain with the steam type with a boiler and gauge the siphon pipe connection. The boiler will be cleaned each time the gauge is tested. The time of the testing. Rule number 23. Steam gauges will be tested at least once every 3 months and always with irregularity reported. Method of the testing rules. 24. Steam gauge for the compared with the accurate test of the gauge that dead weight tester of the gauge is inaccurate when the corrected before and placed in service. Badge plates. Rule number 25 of the metal badge plate shown with a loud steam pressure will be attached with the boiler head in the cab. If the boiler head lag with the lagging jacket will be cut away if the plate can be seen. Boiler number. Rule number 26 of the boiler with the number of the boiler with the dome of the B stamped with the dome of the building. Boiler's number of the boiler can be obtained. Assignment of the number to be used with the making out specification cards will be stamped on the dome number with the stamped horizontally down the front side of the dome near the top, with the figures at least 3/8 of an inch high. Safety valves. Nominal capacity. Rule number 27. Every boiler will be equipped with at least 2 safety valves, the capacity of which will be sufficient to prevent under any condition of the surface the accumulation of the pressure more than 5% of the above of the allowed steam pressure. Setting of the safety valve. Rule number 28. Safety valves will be set with the top of the pressure of the exceeding 6 pound with above of the working steam pressure. The safety valves are set with the 2 steam gauges will be used on which the bush will be located. It will full view with the in-person engaged in setting such that the valve of the pressure indicated the gauge varies more than 3 pounds. Gauges will be removed from the boiler and tested corrected before the safety of the valve is set with the gauges. In all cases will be tested immediately before the safety valves are set, and any change made with the setting with the safety valves are being set. The water level of the boiler will not be above the highest gauge cock. C. Time of the testing. Rule number 29. Safety valves will be tested under steam and at least once every 3 months, also with the regularity reported. 21. Water glass and gauge cocks. Number location. Rule number 30. But every boiler will be equipped with at least 1 water with a glass with 3 gauge cocks. Lowest gauge cock with the lowest reading of the water glass will not be less than 3 inches above the highest part of the crown sheet. B. Water glass and valve with rule number 31. All of the water glasses will be supplied with a 2-valve with a 12 cocks, and then one over the upper, one lower with the connection of the boiler. Also, drain cock valve with the cocks will be constructed so that they can be opened and closed easily by hand. Time of the cleaning with a spindle with the all gauge of the cock with the water glass cocks will be removed and cocks thoroughly cleaned with a scale of the sediment at least once each month. Testing and maintenance rule number 33. All water glasses will be blown out with a gauge cock tested before each for the trip of the gauge cock will be maintained in such a condition that they can be opened and closed easily by hand without aid of the wrench for the other tool, the water and lubricant. Glass shield with rule number 34. All tubular water glass with a lubricated glass will be equipped with a safe and suitable shield with a prevent glass from flying in case of breakage. Such shield will properly maintain. Water glass lamps, rule number 35. All water glasses will be supplied with a suitable lamp, properly located to enable the engineer to easily see with the water in the glass. On 22 injectors, rule number 36, the injectors will be kept in good condition, free with a scale of the tested before with each of the trip boiler, check with the delivery pipe with the feed water pipe with the tank cove with the tank valve will be kept with a good condition, free with the leaks of the form and substance that could be obstruct the flow of the water. Washing the boilers. Time of the washing, rule number 37, that all boilers will be washed thoroughly often as water conditions require, but not less than the frequency of once each month. The boiler will consider the habit of being continuous service between washouts unless the days of the boiler was out of the service certified properly with washout reports or report inspection. Plugs to be removed, rule number 38. When the boiler is washed, all washout and arc and water bar plugs will be removed. The water tube special, rule number 39, special attention will give the arch and the water bar tube, see that they are free of scale and sediment. D. Office record, rule number 40. The accurate record of the locomotive boiler wash will be kept in the office of the unit of the WDAGA Form 55-231, Chapter 12. Following information will be entered for the day of the boiler was washed, number of the locomotive, day of the washout, signature, boiler washer, inspector and statement, spindle, gauge cocks, water glass removed and cocks cleaned. Signature for the boiler inspector for the person who removed the spindle with the cleaning of the cock. Steam leaks only with the lagging, rule number 41. If the series leaks to develop, the lagging examination will be made with the leak located. If the leak is due to the crack of the shell, any of the defect which may reduce the safety of the boiler will be taken out with the service immediately repaired with a report of the satisfactory condition before its return to service. B. Leaks in front of the engine man, rule number 42. With all steam valve cocks and joints and stud bolts and seams will be kept in such a repair that they will not emit steam in the front of the engine man, so to secure the clear of the vision. 25. Reports, filing. Rule number 43. Responsible person will complete and file all the reports required in Chapter 12. B. Adjacent reports, rule number 44. If the accident results from the failure of the locomotive boiler, any of the part of the cause of the serious injury, the death of the one or more person, unit operating locomotive of the transit, immediately report with the site of the accident of the Railway Grand Division headquarters of the theater operation, the chief of the transportation. So in the interior, the report will be stated with the nature of the accident, of the place of which will occur, as well as where the locomotive may be inspected. Section 2. Brake equipment.